everyone, welcome back to another episode of MWN Weather Facts. I'm Kris Hardy with MemphisWeather.net, and today we're going to be discussing humidity and some general information on humidity and some common misconceptions that people might have. I thought this would be a great topic to talk about considering that we live in the Mid-South and we deal with humidity a lot, especially this time of year. So this is a great topic to talk about and give you guys some more information on. So first we're going to discuss what humidity is. Humidity is just the measure of moisture in the atmosphere compared to the dry air that is present in an area. So it is simply just a ratio between two things. And if the moisture in the air is increasing, then this means that the humidity is going to increase as well. So it's a proportional relationship here. The more moisture that you have in an area, the more humidity you're going to have. So talking about how we measure humidity, relative humidity is found by a ratio. Like I said, it's just a ratio between two things. It's found by the actual vapor density over the saturation vapor density, then multiplied by 100, and that gives us a percentage. This shows the comparison between how much water is in the air versus how much water vapor is in the air. So it's just a ratio between those two things multiplied by 100 to get a percentage. And we do this because it provides better accuracy for regional weather forecasts since humidity can be a characteristic of inclement weather. So if there's inclement weather in an area, humidity could be a good characteristic to help define that weather. So now let's dive into some common misconceptions that people might have about humidity. The first one I want to talk about is you can determine the humidity just by looking at the percentage on a weather app. That is completely false. That's not really how it works. The truth is that you should not rely on relative humidity to determine how humid it's going to be. Pay attention to the dew point if you want to see how humid it is outside. And to further explain this, basically, relative humidity is relative to the temperature. It doesn't actually describe the amount of moisture in the air. Like we said before, humidity is the measure of moisture content. So the dew point is the absolute measure of humidity, and it doesn't change as the temperature changes. So dew point's going to stay the same throughout the day. Humidity is going to vary with the temperature. And to give you a better example, over here we have the muggy meter. You guys are probably familiar with this. This is based off of dew point. This is not based off of humidity. So the degrees that you see for the day, if it's like under 60 degrees, then it's going to feel great. But if you get up into 75 degrees, it's going to feel terrible outside. So when you're looking at a weather app and you see humidity and then a percentage, do not look at that. That does not determine the humidity outside. The dew point is what's going to determine how it feels outside. So look at dew point if you want to determine how refreshing or how miserable it's going to be for that day. So another common misconception of humidity. Open a window if it feels humid inside of a building. A lot of people think when they come inside either their house or maybe their office or something, and it feels really humid, they think they need to open a window to let fresh air in. That is not really how it works either. Don't open a window if it's humid outside. The air outside is much more humid than what is inside. You know, the building is insulated. It's not going to hold humidity like the outside has. So opening a window is just going to make things much worse, and it's going to bring in much more humidity into your building. And the last misconception I want to talk about is humid air is more dense than dry air. A lot of people think that because, when you go outside on a humid day, it feels really hard to breathe. That must mean that the humid air is much more dense than dry air. But that's not true either. Humid air, surprisingly, is actually much more lighter than dry air. It only feels heavier because water vapor is taking up the space of oxygen molecules, making it harder to breathe, thus making the air feel heavier. So, like we said before, humid air is just made of water vapor, and water vapor particles are much lighter than oxygen particles. So, when the humid air comes in and replaces that oxygen, it's going to feel much harder to breathe because there's less oxygen, there's more water vapor. So, it makes it feel much more heavier because it's much harder to breathe outside, so there's less oxygen. And yeah, that is all I have for you today. I hope you learned something new and maybe cleared up a misconception you might have had. Again, I am Kris Hardy with MemphisWeather.net, and thank you all for watching.